I am the villain of my story, and I'm coming to you to tell you things so that you can stop from being a villain in your own story. Everything that I'm giving you, I want everyone to understand that. I am telling you what I'm telling you because I am the villain of my story. I am not coming to you as a good person trying to tell you how to consistently and stay being a good person. That is not what I'm doing. I'm telling you the lessons and laws and rules that I learned in order for you not to become anything like I once was. And I have no problems with saying that I'm still that person. If that's how you choose to see me, is by my past actions and behaviors, which many people do. You do something somewhere deep, my last felony conviction was 20 something years ago. But based on the felonies that I've committed, many people would just say, well, that's who I am and that's who I've always been. And that's the only type of person that I will ever be. And that's perfectly fine. I don't care about that. But you can hear the things that I'm saying so that you cannot be like the kind of person that I was. And you cannot be taken advantage by by the kind of person that I was and by the people that I have been surrounded by most of my life. You guys have heard me say this many times before, but I'm going to repeat it again. Integrity is a byproduct. You cannot actually just decide to have integrity, but most of you act and behave as if you can. Now, the reason that the majority of you believe that morality is a real thing is because the comfort from which you live your life. You think that your morals and morals in general are real because you've never been in a position to where you had to kill for your next meal. The only reason you're able to profess these morals and ethics is because of the comfort from which you live and able to profess them. Because I assure you, if survival came through the front door, your morals and ethics would go right out the back window. I give you my word. Now, this is the thing. When you ask somebody, well, what is integrity? Most of them are going to give you that same platitude and cliche that everybody else does. Well, it's doing the right thing even when no one's watching. That's actually not true. Let me explain. Yes. You may be one of those people that everything that I'm about to tell you, I fall in this category. 100%, I fall in this category. So you're like, okay, instead of throwing my little piece of paper on the floor and litter, I'm going to walk all the way across the damn parking lot and throw it in the trash. You might do that. I'm one of those people. I will do that. You might think to yourself, well, I said that I wasn't going to break my fast until 10 o'clock. No one is here. No one is around. Nobody would have any idea if I broke it at 9:59 or if I broke it at 8 o'clock or if I broke it the day before. Nobody would know, but I would know. So I wouldn't do that. Or even just the more mundane ones. You go to the grocery store, you fill up your cart, you take all the food out of your cart and you fill up your car. Now, instead of being like everybody else, where you just leave the cart right down wherever the hell you're fucking at, or just right outside of your way, you're like, you know what? I'll take it all the way back to where the carts are left, go, and I'll drop it there. So I fall into every one of those categories. I will take my paper across the damn parking lot, throw it away. I'll put my cart across the damn parking lot as well. I won't break my fast before I said. I fall into every one of those categories. But that's actually not integrity. That's actually discipline. Those things actually follow into the line of discipline. Now, the difference is when you get to the day-to-day tasks, most people think that quote unquote survival or fighting dirty, that there's a lack of honor in those things. But this is the truth. There's no loss of honor in how you fight. There isn't any honor in how you fight. Honor is found in your discipline, effectiveness, and outcomes. Now, a lot of you are going to complain about that, and you're already probably in the comments being like, well, Jesus said, or the Quran says, or any other religious text or prophet. Or your mommy. My mommy told me that it is only okay to do these things, and I only live by these morals and ethics. You're a fucking liar. You're going to say you don't lie. You're going to say you don't manipulate. You're going to say you don't cheat. You're going to say you don't steal. You're going to say you don't kill. You don't do any of these bad things, right? But every one of you is lying. Overwhelming majority of people on a day-to-day basis, they're lying consistently. They're telling things in a different way than it actually is. Or they're outright lying, or they're omitting facts. So in a business, your coworker, for instance, may give everybody the information or a specific person the information that they need, but they accidentally leave out an important fact that gives them an edge, right? Maybe you didn't do that. Maybe you haven't even experienced it directly, but we all know it happens. Okay, so What about when you're in love? When you're in love and you feel or actually have been abandoned. You're going to manipulate and do whatever you do to get that love back, to get that person back. People do this. I don't care who you are, you've done it. You've been a victim to it. We've all been in these positions where we do these things. So we can take, what do we have? We have business, we have love. On a day-to-day basis, we can also have someone who just wants to control another person. Now, this doesn't even have to be bad, but people want to exhibit control and gain control over other people for myriad reasons. Sometimes it can be nefarious. Sometimes it's just to feel better about yourself. Sometimes it's just to put yourself in an advantageous position. Sometimes, because parents do it with children all the time, and you may even love the person that you're doing it to, you want to try to gain control over that person so that you can put them on the right path through life. But you're still changing things around and saying them in a very specific manner so that you can gain control over that person and their actions and the way that they're going to move and operate through life. This is stuff that everyone does. We all do this stuff. Then you're all going to pretend like your word is your bond. You never lie. You never do any of these things. You'll say things that are designed to hurt and harm another person and then pretend it was done in innocence. You will do this. We've all done it, and we've all been a victim of it. Someone says something, it is designed to hurt and wound another person, and then of course they say, well, that's not what I meant. Oh, I didn't know you would take it that way. Well, why are you being so sensitive? So maybe it's your fault instead. It's the other person's fault instead of them taking responsibility for it. But they did it on purpose, and you know they did it on purpose, and you know you did it on purpose. This happens in love. This happens in war. This happens in business. This happens in families, relationships of every single kind. It doesn't matter what it is. We're constantly doing this. But they want you to think that you're supposed to be striving to be above all of this stuff because everybody else is above all of this stuff when no one is above all of this. Everyone is consistently and constantly doing it. Now, the reason why they want you to obey those rules is because that puts other people in a better and advantageous position if you actually are doing it. Now, I agree. We can take me again. We'll take me. I don't like lying. For the overwhelming majority of the time, if you ask me a question, not only are you going to get the truth, you're going to get the brutal truth. I am pretty much universally loved by those that really, really, really know me for being brutally honest with my answers. So I don't just give you the honesty that I have at the moment, because honesty can be, a matter of perspective at times. So at the moment, I don't just give you what I think and feel is the actual truth in the matter. I go to the heart of the situation and give you the brutal truth of exactly what I see and think is going on. And many people love me for that. However, would I ever say that I will never lie? That I will never lie? Absolutely fucking not. I would never say that because I know for a fact where my honesty ends. I have a principle and a tenet to that principle that are more important than anything else. And if that level of morality, if that rule of morality bumps up against that principle, I am going to break it. So my number one principle and my number one tenet to my number one principle is that my health, my safety, my well-being, any of those things are never up for debate. And neither is the health, safety, or well-being of the people that I love. So if telling the truth would ever put either one of those in jeopardy, I'm going to lie. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not going to hesitate about it. I'm not going to feel bad about it. None of those things. I'm going to fucking lie. Same thing, bro. Stealing, I am not a thief. I am not a thief. I do not like the idea of thievery in any way. Why I don't like it is going to sound weird to you that pretend to just be morally superior to everybody else. I don't like thievery because it feels like such a low-level petty crime. That's it. If you're stealing something stupid like a fucking candy bar or something, it's best not to let me know. I will probably give this away. First of all, I'm just going to pay for the candy bar. Yo, he got a candy bar. He put it in his pocket. He forgot about it. Here you go. Here's the money, man. Keep it. Keep the change. We're leaving. That's number one. But even if not, let's say for whatever reason I don't have the money or something's going on and we're not starving, you're just stealing to fucking steal. That's because, those are two different things. But you're just fucking stealing. Man, I might give this away because for me to get caught for stealing, I would feel like that's such a low-level crime and such a stupid thing to get caught for. Now you have to think, that mentality is twisted, right? I think that it's just a low-level crime. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing to do, that it's just that it's a stupid thing to get caught for. But I still wouldn't do it. That being said, let me come in a position to where I haven't had food in a few days and I don't see a way for me to gain access to food anytime soon. I'm going to steal. I'm going to rob, I'm going to steal, I'm going to lie, I'm going to cheat, I'm going to everything that under the sun in order to get fed. And heaven forbid, some people that I know and love don't have food. Oh, all bets are off then. Nothing is off the table at that point. Very few things are off the table. Very few things are off the table in order for you to make sure that my people that I love and care for are going to be fed. So I would never say that I wouldn't steal either. It's just a very, very high, it's just the threshold in order for me that has to be crossed in order for me to steal is really high. Now, on a day-to-day basis though, we're talking about a day-to-day basis. Everyone is breaking these rules consistently and constantly, but they're trying to make everybody else think, including you, that they're not doing it. They want you to pretend to live above these levels of being human, when nobody else is doing it them damn selves, which puts you at a disadvantage. So my point is not only recognizing that you do these things. So I've recognized a long time ago of me doing things where I'm saying things in order to try to like gain control, but I'm saying them in a way that I don't really mean. And I recognize that I didn't really like doing that. That didn't sit well with me. So it's not that I don't feel the knee-jerk reaction to do it even today. Everybody has this desire within them. We're just human. You have this inside of you. But instead of actually giving into it, I developed other ways to go about getting the same benefits by doing different behavior. I.e., like I told you, being brutally honest. If you just tell people the surface level of honesty, bro, they kind of take it, but it doesn't fucking have any effect, right? But if you try to control them and tell them things that are different than they really are, then you're also going to have a limited effect. However, if you tell people the brutal, honest truth, like the brutal fucking truth, like, no, this is what was going on, this is what you're saying about it, this is what's actually happening, and this is why it's fucking happening, you will be surprised. People will they will be like, damn, when you're not doing it in an attempt to like, when you're just giving them the pure truth and then expecting like they're going to do with what they want with it, bro, you'd be surprised because when you're exposed like that, it doesn't matter who you are. When your inner being is exposed like that, you're like, whoa. And you realize that it's an absolute truth. It doesn't matter who you are. Most people will alter their behavior just because of that. So instead of trying to gain control by subterfuge to get them to do the right thing, I just tell them the absolute truth of what it is. They can change their behavior based on what they want to do. And if they don't change it, then they just don't belong around me. Plain and simple, right? Same outcome. I'm looking for the exact same outcome. I just decided to go a better route about it. So we all do these things. So I figured out like certain things that I was doing. I recognized them, recognized why I was doing it, how I was doing it, and decided to go and mitigate those problems, but go different avenues to gain the same control, to gain the same level. We can say control. I'll be honest about it. The same level of control, but really I'm looking for the same level of outcome was the word I was looking for. So my point is, you have to recognize that other people are doing this and you're doing it as well. And if you attempt in any way, because some people will really try really hard in order to live above being this like human person. Some people will try very hard not to do it. And that leaves you at a disadvantage to the people that are doing it consistently and constantly on a daily basis. So you have to decide, you have to figure out what your true and real principles are for this life. You have to remember, there is no honor in fighting in how you go about fight. There's no dirty fighting in survival. That's not a thing. Oh, well, he was fighting dirty. Motherfucker, he was surviving. We're all doing this on a daily basis. You are in survival mode. You are in a war on a daily basis. And it doesn't matter what war, what battle you're talking, whether it's business, whether it's just life in general, whether it's love, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship at all. You are in a war consistently. People use affection like currency in relationships, and they use apologies like contracts. Like we can go down the list on how this actually works for a long time. You already know what I'm saying and you know it's the truth. My point is figure out what your principles actually are. Build your principles on a level of reality that you can actually live up to. And that is how you have integrity. I will not lie except under these circumstances. And that is a fact. I will not lie unless it's under certain circumstances. There are certain circumstances. There's others that I haven't, it's not just if somebody's in danger, but I mean, this is the truth. If it's a situation that I just don't really care about, I don't know you, I don't care about you, your opinion, we don't have anything, we have no reason to even be involved with one another. And something requires me to just be like, yeah, whatever, just to like get the situation over. Oh yeah, I'll do that too. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like there's other aspects to it as well. But when you're involved when I am involved in a very any kind of actual relationship, that's when these rules like completely apply. Anything that could have like lasting consequences to my life, that's when my rules definitely apply. There can easily be a position to where I'm just like, this is not important. Just tell them whatever they want so they'll go away. You know what I mean? You're just like, I don't care. But it's the thing, I don't care. That's the difference, right? I'm not trying to pretend like I'm this morally superior person who would never do that. And then when I'm put in a position to where I'm like, I don't really care, and I just do it. That's the point. So figure out principles that allow you to live, and then tenets to those principles that allow you to live with actual integrity. Listen, integrity is amoral. That's the point. It's not good or bad. You can be a horrible, terrible fucking person, but if you always do what you say, that gives you integrity. Integrity is amoral. People are trying to make you believe that it's something that it's not, but you can be a really good person who has some dark sides. That's just who you are as a human being. You can be a good person for the majority of the time, but just like everyone else on this planet, you have some dark sides to you, and you recognize what those dark sides are. So you mitigate them to a certain level of degree of ability based on who you actually want to be. This is want to be as a human being, and you work on mitigating those things. But you also realize that, hey, there are very specific certain circumstances that I'm going to do exactly what it takes for me to survive. Whether we're talking about in a physical environment, so whether it's fighting for your actual life, whether it's having to steal to have food, any of those things, or whether it's just a day-to-day interactions that we're all going through that other people want you to think that everybody else, I'm just so morally superior. They're weaponizing that morality. And it's not true. They're not doing it. They're just hiding, they're breaking and bending the rules over here, but then they hide their hand so that you can't see it over here. Everyone is doing it. Recognize that it's happening. And if you try to live your life in a position to where you're actually trying to live above this level that everybody's trying to say that you're supposed to live, it actually leaves you in a disadvantaged state. And people are going to try to argue. And those people are lying. Not one person who is able to go down in these arguments, these comments in this video right now, is able to be honest about how I never, and I will only from here forward, and you should only. They only care about what you should only. They are not doing the things that they tell you you should only. They most likely are not. And if they are, there are mitigating circumstances that will prevent them to doing it. But they will say, well, I had no choice. You always have a choice. And that's the point. If you want to live with true integrity, because true integrity allows you to live in a way and feel a way about yourself that you cannot mimic any other way. When you have principles and tenets to your principles that you actually can and will live by, it allows you to have this level of confidence and this level of awareness as to who and how you are and what you will and will actually not do. Man, you cannot change. That is a level of confidence and that is a level of awareness and being that cannot be mimicked. When you know exactly who you are, when you know exactly how you'll do things, why you'll do things, when you'll do those things, when you're just honest with who you are, that gives you this level of ability, like on an interior level, and a way to move through the world that cannot be mimicked. If you come face to face with something about yourself that you truly do not like, then you work to change that about yourself. You at least work to mitigate it unless it's under very specific circumstances that leaves you in a disadvantaged state. I'm not telling you to just accept who you are and stay that person if you're not comfortable with it and if you don't like it. What I am telling you is that you are this person. So is everyone else around you. You learn how to adapt and move and survive in this world exactly how we actually are, not how everybody tells you that you're supposed to be and how they pretend to be. No one is that person. Do not be the person who's leaving themselves in a disadvantaged state because you're actually attempting to be the person that nobody else is.